Hi there, aspiring achievers. If you think it's your ADHD that's been biting you in the butt all these years, then think again. It's your underdeveloped executive function skills, and it's not your fault. Who taught them to you or helped you to develop them? Probably no one. And did anyone tell you that when you had that traumatic experience or you finally got over your depression, that you would need to reboot the development of your executive function skills because they don't just come back online again? Probably not. We're in serious trouble in the world right now, and we all need well-developed executive function skills more than ever. What do I mean by these executive function skills? I mean the seemingly simple tasks of daily adult life, like planning, prioritizing, scheduling, decision-making, managing yourself in time and beyond. These executive function skills and the empowering beliefs that allow us to think of ourselves and our needs without feeling selfish and actually take good care of ourselves. It may not be your fault that you didn't fully develop these skills because of so many possible reasons. However, you are 100% responsible for the outcomes in your life now. And if it's to be, it's up to you to step up and develop these essential skills. It doesn't have to be difficult or time-consuming, because it isn't. However, that depends on your beliefs. If you have limiting beliefs that say that everything is difficult for you and you can't do anything right now, and what is the point because you're only going to quit after a few lessons? Do you think that having those limiting beliefs is going to get you the life you want? And if you don't believe you can change those beliefs, think again. A belief isn't a fact, and you can change all of your beliefs if need be. You see, all of our beliefs are made up by us as we grow up because we are the meaning makers of our lives. And a belief isn't a fact. However, we may treat it like it's a fact. And if we have enough limiting beliefs that we treat as facts, well then, those beliefs can just run our lives into the ground. You can forget about having the life that you want for yourself. I've been helping adults to heal from their codependent behaviors and identity for over 30 years now. And if you were to tell me that you don't believe that you can heal your codependency because you're different or your situation is different than most, I would tell you the same thing that my sponsor told me, because I was holding myself out to be terminally unique. And she said, I wasn't. Taking this a step further, how do you know that you can't develop your executive function skills or follow through on a program of transformation with the right type of training, support, community, and safety that you need in order to transform your life? Have you ever had all of that before, all together, and you didn't make the changes? Probably not. Most of the adults I work with have worked hard at having the life they want by piecing together a lot of hacks and shortcuts and stuff to do that doesn't stick and doesn't change the trajectory of their life. I have good news for you. As one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, said, for things to change, you have to change. You cannot stay the same person that you've been for all these years and add on the hacks, the shortcuts, and all the other stuff and expect it to make a significant difference in the quality of your life. It just doesn't work that way. If you want to have the Volvo life or the Corvette life, you have to pay for that life in time, effort, and energy. Those people who have those lives pay for them. Otherwise, you can get a lesser quality life for a bargain basement price. And if that isn't what you want for yourself long term, then you're going to need to shift your beliefs about what it takes to get what you want for yourself. And you might be wondering how much time, effort, and energy you will have to spend to get the life you want. I can tell you that it's as little as 15 minutes a day, every single day, or as much as you want to invest in the creation of that life. Are you worth 15 minutes a day of your time to dramatically change your life? I sure hope so.
Welcome to the Living Beyond ADHD podcast. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and actionable steps on hot topics from focus to follow-through to self-management and more, you are in the right place. Welcome your host, innovative educator, coach, and psychotherapist, Dr. B.
I'm excited to bring you another Ask Dr. B episode because I love asking questions as well as answering them. As a child, I remember saying, just one last question, when it was time to turn off the lights and go to sleep. I always had one last question, which wasn't really my last question. I was so curious, and I still am. And I love to learn as well as teach and share. That said, I trust that you all have lots of questions too. And to make sure you can get meaningful answers to your questions, you find a link in the show notes where you can ask your questions and get answers in my upcoming episodes. If you're wondering what kind of questions listeners have asked me in the past, it's been anything having to do with executive function skill development in adults, as well as anything about adult ADHD as well. Sometimes the questions are a little more general, and that's okay too. If it's something I know about and feel it would be of benefit and value to you, my listeners, I'm happy to include it in an episode. Your questions matter to me. We are a curious bunch, and at the same time, often feel afraid or even embarrassed to ask questions for fear of being shamed or appearing stupid to the person we ask questions of. Well, that's not the case here, and there are no stupid questions. If it's your question and you're wondering about it, then it's an important question. And when you ask your questions, indicate in the form if I have your permission to use your first name or just initials when I create the Ask Dr. B episode with your question in it. That way, your privacy is preserved and your questions get answered. We are all a work in progress, and for you to continue to progress, you need answers to your questions. I want to thank one of my listeners for today's question. Does codependency play a role in executive function deficit? I'll get to their answer in a few minutes. And first, I want to make sure that you know the state of your executive function skills. And have you all gotten your free PDF, 13 Signs Weak Executive Functioning is Holding You Back? Have you? And if you have gotten it, have you actually read the PDF and scored yourself? If you have, that's great. But if you got it, but you haven't gotten around to reading it or scoring yourself yet, I suggest you do, as it's going to provide you with some very important information. And if your executive function skills are sorely lacking in their development, I've got some great news for you. If you want help right away, get yourself registered for my free 3-day live training, which starts on Wednesday, September 21st at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And if you can't make it live, be sure to get yourself registered if you want access to the replays. So if you seriously want help now, be sure to get registered right away. Links for the free training and the free PDF on executive function skills are in the show notes. Are you over the age of 25 or 30? If so, you might have heard that whatever executive function skill development you have by that age is it. There's nothing more you can do for yourself except hacks and Band-Aid strategies. That's not true. I'm 71 years young and continuing to get sharper and more skilled as I age. And I've been working with adults in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're all developing their executive function skills and creating better lives for themselves. How is this possible? Well, neuroplasticity dictates that as long as we're here and alive, we can continue to develop the skills we need. It doesn't cap out at 25 or 30, and that's a great win. And speaking of wins, what's it going to be for you today? If you've already registered for the free 3-day training, that's awesome. If you've read and scored your executive function quiz, that's fantastic. And if you've decided that you can and will change your life starting now, that's wonderful. Each one of these wins deserves your full-hearted celebrating. Yes, wow, awesome. I know you all have wins, big and small, and I'm hopeful that you're celebrating them all every single day. How much time do we have? Not much. So let's get to it.
This podcast is sponsored by Pure Potential with Dr. B. You can head over to drbarbaracohen.com and find the podcast episodes and transcripts. Great free content, plus information on programs and products, including the groundbreaking online Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills Training and Coaching Program. You can also learn about Dr. B's masterclasses on decision-making, time management, and banishing procrastination. That's drbarbaracohen.com.
Thank you to Christine in Florida for our Ask Dr. B question today, which is, does codependency often play a role in executive function deficit? Additionally, she shares, my husband of 30 years recently passed. 20 of the 30 were very difficult in many ways, but I stayed. I walked on eggshells most of the time so as not to upset him. My life and emotions revolved around him and making sure he was happy. The last 10, he was sick. Although we got along better, my life gradually morphed into full-time caregiver until he passed. I did function somewhat better when he was alive, but now here I am. Was that codependency? Is that at least part of why my executive function skills are lacking? Thank you for your question. Since many of you may not know what codependency is, the simplest definition I can offer you is an absence of a healthy relationship with yourself, where you sacrifice your needs and your wants for the needs and wants of others. They come first. So filtering through this simple definition and assuming a lot of information that wasn't shared with me, it sounds like you sacrificed your needs for your husband so that you wouldn't upset him. Sounds like everything revolved around him and making sure he was happy. Where was your happiness in all those years? Often your happiness would come from him being happy rather than your own happiness coming from you. Codependency can certainly contribute to the underdevelopment of executive function skills because you aren't focused on yourself. You're focused on another person, and your focus and energy are being derailed. And from what I gather, you indicated that you functioned better when he was alive, perhaps because you had a purpose or were needed. And once he was gone, you would have needed to have a new purpose to your life. Not only would your executive function skills need developing, you would need to give yourself permission to focus on yourself and your life and your needs and your wants rather than focusing on others. It's a very awkward place to be in because people are shocked when they discover that they don't know themselves nor what they want or need in their life. They're lost when their focus and purpose isn't on others because it's been that way for so long. If you are discovering that you've been living a codependent life up to now and have underdeveloped executive function skills, healing your codependency as well as developing your executive function skills will give you a quality of life that you most likely have never experienced before. You are 100% responsible for 100% of the outcomes in your life. I learned that if it's to be, it's up to me, and the same is true for you. So long as you're willing to go the distance and heal what needs healing and develop what needs developing, you can fully resolve both issues in your life. Thinking about codependency and executive function skills, there are 6 important concepts that I teach in my program, and I want to point out how each of these can be impacted by codependency. The first is stand for something every day. Well, it's tough when you have to form your days around the needs of others. 2, clarify your goals. Why bother when you won't be able to pursue them when others' goals interfere with your own? 3, daily consistency. Well, that's hard to manage when others' needs come first. 4, be willing to go to any lengths to achieve your goal. It's a nice concept, but challenging when your time and energy is given away to others. 5, keep your word to yourself. This doesn't happen when you give others the power to run your life and influence your decisions. And 6, personal time for reflection. Well, there's nothing left over after you've taken care of everybody else's needs, so no time typically for personal reflection. So whether it's codependency or executive function skill training, you don't know what you don't know. If you want to really leap ahead to the next level of living, you need to work with someone who has the knowledge, training, experience, and knowing to provide the full package for your transformation. And that's the message I would love for every person getting a new ADHD diagnosis or just suffering with ADHD symptoms to hear. You need to develop your executive function skills, and the fastest, most effective way is to join a reputable training program with an expert coach and trainer. It's 7 months of incredibly effective, in-depth training and coaching that'll empower you to turn your untapped gifts into your most valuable assets. You'll finally have the opportunity to realize your potential because your limiting beliefs, outdated identities, missing pre-skills, and underdeveloped executive function skills won't be undermining your best efforts anymore. And having made all these changes from the inside out, you will be in a much better position to heal your codependency. Are you seriously committed to putting an end to your needless suffering and developing your missing skills so that the quality of your life that you want to live is yours? The years are going to pass no matter what you do. It's really the choice of what you will put into those years rather than them just be passing years that are filled with frustration or regrets. So please, slow down and become a student of your own life. Understand what you need to succeed with the multifaceted brain that you have. Take action on what you learn about yourself. This is the life work that lies ahead for you, for all of you, if this is your time. We came into this lifetime, each of us, with an empowering gift. And I would love it if each and every person on this planet were able to express his or her unique empowering gifts freely, without the threat of being shamed or criticized. Please, let's put an end to that stigma once and for all and live as empowered achievers. A favorite quote of mine. Jim Rohn said, "If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree." I love this quote because I'm not a tree and neither are any of you. And if you don't like how anything is, you get to choose to change it. It's up to you to create the life you want. If you're loving the podcast, you'll find in the show notes how to get even more support. You'll find the link for the 3-part live training that starts September 21st, which is Take Control of Your Life. You can get registered and join us right away. There's also a link for additional information. There's a link for the free PDF on the 13 signs that weak executive functioning is holding you back. There is a link for Ask Dr. B questions. And there's also a support group. If you like joining the support group of podcast listeners, it's not a training group. There's no training per se that happens there, just support. And of course, you can subscribe if you're an ongoing listener, and even leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you're enjoying this episode or any of the other episodes that I've done. You'll find that information in the show notes as well. Thank you so much. So if you're seriously ready to stop your needless suffering and free yourself from your personal prison, I look forward to seeing you in the free 3-part live training or inside the Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills program and on the bonus coaching call that you'll get. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the links and the opportunities that are available to you. There are real solutions to the challenges that you're experiencing, not fluff, and they're available to you now. Time, it's our most precious asset, and none of us has time to waste on solutions that just don't work. I would love to help you realize a new freedom. That is, if that's of interest to you. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you're eager to make positive changes in your life and stop overwhelm and confusion from derailing you, head over to drbarbaracohen.com and see how Dr. B can help you today. Whether you love learning in an online group environment with personalized coaching or prefer the pace of guided self-study, Dr. B offers the skills, strategies, and individual support you need. Get started on your journey today by visiting the website at drbarbaracohen.com.